There's a lot of privileges we have to be living in the age we're in. One thing in particular is the internet. It's this mass interconnecting web of ideas and information. So today on Paradigm Shift, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Rather than having a guest speaker, we, the people within the community, are going to take turns sharing ideas with one another. I don't know if you've heard, but collective education is all the rage these days. You're watching Paradigm Shift, Sight Beyond Sight.
The references that I'm taking from is mostly that of Gnostic or neurology. So it just like the two sides, the opposing forces, science and mysticism. So I'm going to be trying to break down the dualities. The idea I propose essentially is that we've reached the point in evolution where competition is no longer necessary. We've gotten to the point where it's now about cooperation. When I refer to evolution, you can replace it with revolution of the consciousness, with awakening or your chakras or any of that kind of stuff. And all of the esoteric views all say that meditation is required to evolve. Everyone has to choose to evolve if they want to evolve. Our society is suppressing the sacred feminine, the right hemisphere of our brain. Naturally, through evolution, we want to be able to use our full brain. So what if we were able to train ourselves to cooperate internally? Like if we're actually able to train our brains to cooperate, both our left hemisphere and our right hemisphere, rather than to compete. So what the esotericists say when they meditate, a lot of them, almost like half of the schools, they talk about how when you meditate, you naturally unfold out of your physical body. So okay, that kind of, we can't really prove that for ourselves, but we can at least try it through meditation. And they also refer to the idea that once you meditate, you're not actually outfolding outwards. You're unfolding inwards. You're exploring the higher dimensions, they call it, of the inside. So you're actually going into yourself before going out or something like that. If we want to meditate to evolve, then where do we start? Well, one really common thing that we do in our society is called lucid dreaming, and lucid dreaming is in the hypnagogic state. It's a meditative state. So if you want to try to work more and use more of your full brain, there's three things you can do, and that's to start writing down your dreams. You'll build the dream recall, and then the second step would be to start reality checking, see whether or not you're awake, because that's how you actually become aware that you are existing beyond the physical body. And then the third point would be meditation. Once you realize that you're existing beyond the physical body, you have to learn how to control this scape. And one really big thing is the ability to control your own thoughts, because nowadays we've been programmed, neurologically speaking, by society to have thoughts bouncing all around and to never really understand that our brain is a tool that we need to use. In my opinion, being swept along is no longer enough. Like, sure, like being in this room is a byproduct of you just kind of going with the flow and being swept along, but it's no longer enough. Now you need to actually choose to evolve if you want to.
So I'm going to talk about something called the Kathara program, which is a program about healing and spiritual evolution. It's something that's had a really profound impact on my life. The actual workshop of this is like 6 hours long, and I'm going to be like going as fast as I can for 15 minutes. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about multiple dimensions. So basically the idea with multiple dimensions is that reality is so much more than what we see with our five senses. There's actually, like, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are many frequency bands of reality. They're all interwoven and occurring in the same space, but because some of them have types of matter that have a different angular rotation of particle spin, we can't see them and they can't see us, basically. The main point of my presentation was just to get across the point that we are multidimensional beings, and we do have this huge evolutionary potential. So as you, like in the higher dimensional fields, dimensions 8 to 15, you have higher oscillation, higher frequency, shorter wavelength, slower electron spins, less density, and it's more electric. And in the lower dimensional fields of dimensions 1 to 8, you have higher vibration. It's a contraction of energy, lower frequency, longer wavelength, faster electron spin, it's more density, and it's more magnetic. The energy system of our own bodies, like our chakra system and our Merkaba, etc., is directly connected to the Merkaba and energy body of the planet. And normally, when it's functioning naturally, we're supposed to have a direct link to the Earth core that perpetually brings up a continual supply of energy. If we start to work with our higher levels of consciousness, our, like our soul, we can begin to transmit information such as past life recall or information pertaining to our present lifetime and how we can best maximize our spiritual path. So I think that everybody needs to start focusing on going inwards and getting in touch with themselves, because that's where the truth really is. It's within you. There's a way of using symbols and colors represent scalar waves or specific frequencies. So they're like programs that can direct energy in specific ways. There's a way of using that in order to bring the Maharic shield, which corresponds to the pre-matter liquid light Maharata current, online in the body, and then linking that to the planetary Maharic shield in order to bring the 12th dimensional frequency into the body for purposes of healing and manifestation. And the symbol we use is the six-pointed star, which looks like the Star of David. It's actually the Merkaba star. It's connected to something called a Merkaba field, which, if you've never heard that term before, a Merkaba field is two counter-rotating spirals. They're actually tetrahedron-shaped. The top one that has its tip pointing up spins clockwise, and the bottom one that has its tip pointing down spins counterclockwise. And the top spiral is electrical, and the bottom spiral is magnetic. And together, their spin differential creates a reciprocal inflow and backflow of energy that is exchanged between you and the unified field. If this information interests you, I'd be happy to discuss it more. I also have an energy therapy practice where I do chakra work and stuff. I'm giving sessions basically for free right now. So if anyone is interested in such a service, you can contact me as well.
Back in 2005, I saw a video on the internet. It was a TED Talk by a guy named Jeff Hawkins, and some of you have probably seen it. He actually talked about intelligence and how we define intelligence, and he basically was explaining this idea that intelligence is defined by prediction. The brain itself is a pattern recognition machine. It's always taking in all this information of the system that it's in. It's remembering the information, and then it's using the information that it knows to anticipate events that unfold in front of itself and be able to predict the outcome of future events and be able to respond accordingly. So here's a quick video explaining a little bit about demonstrating how the neocortex works in chimpanzees.
His star pupil is a 7-year-old chimpanzee. Show him the numbers 1 to 9 and he'll put them in the right order. But now the researchers make things difficult. As soon as the chimp presses the number 1, the rest of the numbers are hidden. He has to remember where the numbers were and press the white squares in numerical order.
The whole idea of that, with that monkey, obviously, that monkey wasn't able to do that the first time. This is something they trained the monkey to do. But it's not just the fact that they trained a monkey, it's the fact that they trained a mammal with a neocortex. You could train a human to do that exact same thing over time. It's this idea that, the more you practice it, the better it gets, the more efficient it becomes at practicing and accomplishing those tasks at hand. Oftentimes, we don't really think about what we are in the sense of what our brain is, when our brain is actually this pattern recognition machine. Once you sort of become self-aware of this, you can actually go into situations and become more conscious of the actions that you're doing. So I use the example of like chimpanzees to say like, look, like a chimpanzee can like learn this complicated like pattern and become efficient at it. So there's no reason that humans can't become efficient at any pattern that we approach, any system that we put ourselves into. So of course, this is what we saw, like that was with the monkey, you know, like that's great and everything. But now we're going to take that same concept and apply it to a human being playing a video game. So Vince, if you can actually just hit the lights again real quick. This is an exceptional demonstration of skills. Like this is a Quake 3 for those of you who aren't familiar with the game. This game in itself, like I would argue, is the most authentic representation of video game skills, like unlike some of the stuff that you get with like Call of Duty today with like the perks and all that crap. So there's a lot that's happening that the brain is being able to process while all this is going on. And for me, you know, like this is, if you see some of the best players in this game, this is very God-like, is my point, you know? Like within a finite system, within a place, within a video game where rules are set and there's certain elements that every character has to abide by, there is a level of perfection that can be achieved. There is this like God-like status that can be achieved. Yeah, again, what happens when we take this concept and take it outside of the video game system and into the system of real life? Even when you think about like the most trained martial artist is this person who has become so refined at the techniques that they've practiced over the years. And basically the message that I want to get across with my presentation, that through practice, through dedication to anything within life, whether it be through like muscle memory or just even through like song and music and stuff like that, anything that we put effort into, we'll be able to develop skills like beyond what we even conceived as being possible for ourselves. And we can actually just really surprise ourselves as to what we as humans are actually capable of, because the only limit that we have on ourselves is a limit that we put on ourselves. So the point of this presentation is to empower people, to encourage them to, you know, push their limits, to like to just like do very to understand that we are capable of very godlike things, you know, like we are very godlike when you think about it, just because like the crazy stuff we can do.
I'm just sharing some information. I'm not like well read or informed, but I just recently read this book called The Indigo Adults. I don't know if you guys have heard about indigo children at all. What would you guys think of when you think of indigo children? Just like shout it out. Anything that comes to mind. What was it?
Star Child.
Star Child.
Everyone in this room.
Everyone in this room. Yeah.
What stereotype?
Yeah. Indigo children are sometimes associated as being kids between the ages of, I think it's between 5 and 7 to 25, which I think most of us are within that range. They're known to have these purpley indigo auras around them, known to have like psychic abilities, special abilities.
I did my talk on indigo children. I prefer not to segregate individuals as indigo and non-indigo. I'd rather just look at it as a consciousness that is arising in the new age that we're in.
Now, within this age, there's been like another consciousness that has like slowly been developing as this age is still current. So right now, this would be called like the Piscean age, and we are now entering the Aquarian age, which is going like this. And we've just started, and right now, we're kind of right here. So we're like at the overlap of ages right now. They do a little quiz in the back, like, are you an indigo child? And they do a little quiz, like, do you find it difficult to be in groups, or do you find that you're misunderstood a lot of the time? Do you find that you can't communicate your ideas? To me, that just sounds like a teenager. Yeah. Youth are the ones who like develop the new ideas. They grew up in like an environment with old establishments, old like, let's like think of schools, government buildings, just like a system is set up, and they grow up in that environment. And as they get older, they get to that teenage age. Just think of like growing up in your house, right? Like as you grow up, you're like used to like customs, rules that your parents have for you. Then you get to that point where you like have your own individual feelings, and like you're thinking about other things that you haven't been taught at home, but you're trying to communicate it to the outside world. That's just kind of like where we're at right now. And at our particular age, we're at the epitome of that.
It's really important for information sharing such as this to happen, just because it gives people a chance to learn how to communicate clearly and with each other in a free environment that's comfortable and open-minded.
What paradigm shift represents is a change in the way we perceive not only the world around us, but ourselves, and the ability that we have to create our own realities. Because this isn't about one person standing on the shoulders of others. This is about a bunch of people sharing their collective ideas together. This is Paradigm Shift, Sight Beyond Sight.